change and upgrade. Every year, the iPhone upgrades, usually when you're sleeping. Sometimes it doesn't take. That's always annoying. I'm like, why didn't it take? You've got to be able to upgrade like that. So that's something that I think we'll do. Personally, a goal of mine is to get better in things that I need to get better in. Are you buying or selling an upgraded CJ, like an iPhone?
I'm buying. Now, I do think the team might, as a team, take a step back. I think Indy and I do think Jacksonville are going to be better. All right, so I don't
and
think
Tennessee will be better.
Yeah.
They were the worst team in the league.
Right,
they got to be better.
Right. So I just think that they could have a disappointing season because we obviously expect them to make the playoffs. They don't win the division, it's just disappointing. But CJ was not great last year. You know, it's just simple as that. He declined in every statistical category. All right, so I do expect him to play better. Obviously, Tank Dell, won't be there for most, if not all, of the season. Christian Kirk, I think, can be a good number 2 to Nico Collins. So
Friend of the show.
I think, and Mixon's a good, good running game. So I do think CJ will be better, flat out, but I think the team might not be as good.
Sorry, this is not what you're looking for. I agree with that take 100%. I think that is exactly how I feel. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think that all of a sudden, they went into the year with Diggs last year. He's not there. Tank Dell obviously is going to be gone all year. So instead of having, a bounty of weapons on there, it's Nico Collins and then young guys. The offensive line was disastrous last year. It really kneecapped.
And it has been in 2 years.
Right, and they traded away their best offensive lineman in Tunsil. And again, I know they know that and they addressed it. The best thing they had last year was that secondary, which might have been the best in the league by the end of the year. And I like D'Amico, and I think they'll be actually pretty good defensively. But I agree with Brew. I think CJ will have statistically a bounce-back season, but that's going to be in part because I think they're going to be trailing more than they did necessarily last year. Mm-hmm. And I think that they, for the first time since he's been there, don't win the division.
Okay. So, again, last season the team was a mess. Okay? It was a mess. They were dealing with so many injuries in and out of the lineup. The run game was inconsistent, especially in the beginning of the season. Coaching was inconsistent, coordinating specifically, OC, which I even defend Bobby Slowick because I think it's a hard thing to be able to navigate some of the things that he had to navigate at such a young age of his personal career. He's a younger coach, and I've used this example a lot. We've seen very, very, very experienced coaches struggle to make do when they have players in and out of the lineup with injuries. And the best coach to fail at that most recently was Shanahan. And even to a degree, Sean McVay as well, quite frankly. When Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and their O-line, like Stafford and company did not look good. They just didn't. So, of course, you're going to see regression with CJ Stroud, especially in year 2. So you were dealing with real concrete issues that a team can deal with, and you were relying on a young coach, offensively, that is, to navigate it. It's a hard thing to do, man. It's a hard thing for experienced Super Bowl winning coaches. Then it's going to be hard for a young up and coming OC. That's pretty obvious to me, as well as throwing in a year 2 quarterback. If it's hard for a Super Bowl winning quarterback and an established quarterback who's been in the NFL for like a decade, who's literally been playing football for like 3 decades plus, near 4 decades, like it's going to be hard for CJ Stroud. So I just always hate the kind of like zeroing in on CJ as it being a problem. Now, I think the team itself, right, I don't have incredibly like confident high hopes of what the Texans can do as a whole. I'm definitely more confident in CJ than the team itself, and I'm not confident in some of the changes and the moves that they've made this offseason going into this season. It's unclear to me. When I have a lot of confidence in either direction, I have no problem sharing it. And when I don't know, I also have no problem sharing it. The Texans are definitely in the category for me as like a wait and see team. Do I have my doubts? Absolutely. or I should say skepticism. But it's just like, they made such big upgrades, seemingly upgrades last season, and it didn't go in the right direction for them. So I'm not entirely sure what the Texans' goal was this offseason, honestly. They made, from my viewpoint, a couple moves, a couple head-scratching moves, and so wasn't 100% sure of, like, what are you looking to do right now? What is the intention this season outside the obvious of we're trying to improve and we're trying to win the division? Like, like that's obviously generic. And I do think the division should be harder. I think with a new coach with the Jags, Trevor Lawrence, I think when at least when Trevor is healthy and they have, competent coaching, like, they're not a perennial just garbage team. I just don't think that. Listen, do I think that they're going to now, again, be a top team in the NFL year after year after year? No, but they're not going to just be easy wins either. The Colts, listen, I don't know. I'm such a believer in Shane Steichen as an offensive mind. Not so sure as a pure head coach, but then also that quarterback room, I'm like, I just don't know. But, like, to me, it's more of a coin flip. If Shane Steichen can work some magic with AR or even Daniel Jones, again, they'll at least be threatening, just like he was with Gardner Minshew, as the Texans saw. All came down to the very end. As well as the Tennessee Titans, like, they should be able to take a step forward because they were awful with Will Levis, and they should no longer be that. So, the world and the Texans should be getting a little bit more difficult. It still makes sense that the Texans should be in the I don't even want to say in the driver's seat, but definitely have a leg up, quite frankly. And I think that they have the best quarterback for sure. I will always take CJ. I think CJ Stroud has the potential to be a truly elite special quarterback. I had him pegged to be an MVP candidate last offseason going into this season. And I think he can get back to that. But like we consistently see over the years, whether you're Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, you need help. You need help. You need protection. You need some weapons. You need high-level coaching. You need it all. You really do. You need it all. And so that's why it's just I'm kind of just a wait and see here, because I'm just like, I also don't care what, because they're saying, oh, will he have a bounce back year? And Nick says, well, I think he will because they'll be down by so much. And I said, well, that's not a bounce back year to me then if you're just getting garbage time stats, or you're getting stats because you're down by 14. So of course you're just letting it rip all day, every day in the third and fourth quarter or something. Like, that's letting the stats tell you something that's not actually there. That's Dak Prescott stats. I could care less about that. 100%, I could care less about that. That's meaningless to me, quite frankly. Bounce back to me is, and I don't even see it as a bounce back because CJ Stroud was talking about growth and whatnot. It's like, I want to see him continue to be more and more comfortable. I go back to the playoffs against the Chiefs, and there was a moment, and I blame coaching because absolutely should have called a timeout. They either had to play late. They were late to the line of scrimmage. It was a key play, a very important play. The game was still in the balance, and it was pretty much like, oh no, quickly go. And they just had like CJ Stroud run up there, and they had to quickly call hike as the clock was running down. And it was a call hike. It was all rushed, and I think it ended up in a sack, or it didn't go well for the Texans, and especially CJ Stroud. And I live streamed that game, and I just was like, they absolutely left CJ Stroud on an island in that moment. This is a second-year starter. It's like call the timeout. What are you doing right now? You needed this play to go well. Call a timeout. I want to see CJ Stroud get to the level where he's comfortable enough being like, well, I'm calling a timeout. If coach isn't calling a timeout, I'm calling a timeout. This is ridiculous. What are we doing here? You got the play in too late, or there was a problem in the huddle, whatever the heck it was. Like, what are we doing here? Right? Like, I want to see that maturity and that confidence. And I don't blame him for not having it in year 2 in a playoff game on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, that's what I'm saying. It was the Texans who left him on an island. I want to see him grow and evolve and be like, no, timeout. Stop. Guys, let's go. And then I want to see him get to the sideline and be like, what are we doing here? Come on. Like, let's have higher standards here. Like that's I wish I could call that play up very quickly, but it would take me too long to find. But I just remember it so vividly of just like they left CJ on an island. What are you doing? And now it's up to CJ to be like, you're gonna try to leave me on an island. That's fine. I'm not gonna allow it next time though. To me, that is growth. That's the iPhone being updated. That's a bounce back, so to speak. It's not, oh, well, he threw for 4,000 yards and this and that. And it's like, great, cool, whatever. I want to see some of these other things. To me, CJ Stroud is already like, yeah, of course he's going to get numbers. Of course he can, his completion percentage, his yards, his touchdowns are all going to kind of fluctuate because, like, you need a team around him. If the team's around him, he'll ball out. If it's not, he'll have similar years like we saw Mahomes, like we saw Stafford, like we see all other great quarterbacks have when their roster is a little bit inconsistent or dealing with injuries. So, hopefully that made sense. But yeah, I hope the Texans can get some consistency because one of the things that irked me so much last season was people kind of taking a victory lap on CJ Stroud, and Nick Wright himself kept making fun of him because he was supportive of Caleb Williams after their game and was pretty much like, hey man, keep going or whatever the heck he said. And Nick was like making fun of him because it's like, bro, you've been in the NFL for 2 minutes. Who are you to give advice? And it's like, well, he's been in the NFL. He's been successful. He's won multiple playoff games. You don't think that like he's being a good person and being like, hey man, get after it, and you want to make fun of him for that? And then every time that CJ Stroud then continued, because like Nick kept saying, ever since that moment, CJ Stroud has been downhill, and it's like, man, when you cook the books in that way, it irks me so much. It irks me so much. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, for that matter? Because in a lot of ways, this conversation was kind of split into two. Do you think we'll have a bounce back season? Where do you want to see him evolve? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.